Hello, it is Wednesday, June 11th, and this is Let's Talk Immigration. I've not had a Let's Talk Immigration show, and since June 4th, which is the day that Trump issued his travel ban. So that's the first thing we're going to talk about today. That travel ban that Trump issued last week went into effect on Monday. It impacts a lot of people. Let's look at it. Let's talk about it. If you got questions, you can put them in the comments and I will get to them. Thank you. Share screen. This is the big ugly travel ban. Okay. It's not an executive order. A lot of people call it an EO. It's a proclamation. Okay. He's using authority under 212F, which is the same thing he did with the first travel bans during his first administration. 212F is a section of the Congress's law in the Immigration Nationality Act that says that they are giving the president the authority to prevent the entry of a class of aliens, non-immigrants, or not. No, that's not the right word. Class of foreigners, class of people that are not U.S. citizens, I guess. The Congress gave the president the authority to keep out an entire class, but it's an entry ban. It's not an issuance ban. So technically, like, one of the causes of action we're going to sue on is you can't prevent visa issuance over this ban if it's just an entry ban. But we have other causes of action that we're going to go forward with also. So who's this impact? A whole bunch of countries. Okay. And there's two different kinds of impacts. There's countries that are fully suspended and countries that are partially impacted. So here are the 12 countries that are most impacted. Afghanistan, Burma, Chad, Republic of Congo, which is not the Democratic Republic of Congo, two different countries. Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. So it applies to immigrant visas and non-immigrant visas, but there are some exceptions. So let's talk about the exceptions. The most important exception is not the first one, but I'll go ahead and get to that because there's people watching that might be nervous. Immediate relatives of U.S. citizens. If you're a spouse, minor child, or parent of a United States citizen, you're not impacted here. Now we'll go to the ones in order. Here, exceptions. Green card holders, any lawful permanent resident. You're an exception. Does not mean you're not impacted, though, because guess what? Your spouse and your unmarried children, minor or adult, cannot immigrate right now because they are not an exception. So you're going to have a lot of green card holders, thousands of green card holders across the United States. They're going to be very grumpy for the next 3 to 5 years because they are enduring very painful family separation. Many young families. Not fair. Completely cruel. Okay. Next exception, dual national. But there's something, a glitch to this. You have to be traveling on the passport issued by the country that's not so designated. So you can't have if you're a dual national, you can't just have your passport only for Iran. You got to have your passport for the other country too. Okay. Diplomats are exception. Athletes are exception according to how Secretary Rubio wants to do it. Okay. So they act like the Olympics are still going to be held in the U.S. and the World Cup and all this stuff. And I don't know. I think that the international community may decide that's not going to happen now. Okay. As I mentioned before, immediate family immigrant visas are an exception. Adoptions are exception. Afghan special immigrant visas are exception. Special immigrant visas for U.S. government employees, exception. Okay, this has got a lot of conversations. Immigrant visas for ethnic and religious minorities facing persecution in Iran. Obviously, there are a lot of people that would fall under this, except the way it's worded. It says immigrant visas for. It's my belief that this is just worded very wrong, and what they mean is they're trying to capture these visas that were established during the Lautenberg Amendment in 1990 that allowed for certain persecuted religious minorities, including Jews, to get out of Iran. It gave them a path, sort of a discrete program, and a lot of people don't know about it, and that's probably what this is about. However, for our existing clients, we are asking the government attorneys, hey, how do we demonstrate this exception applies? So we're waiting to hear back on that. Okay. There's two provisions here that talk about the national interest. Okay. It's unclear how available that is, except I would say it's not. It's just fake. Okay. They've put wording in here as if there's exceptions for national interest, but then it's sort of like a treasure hunt, or I forget what that's called, where you're going to look for something and can't find it. There's no explanation anywhere of where you could get the national interest. Interestingly, there's a phrase in the top of section 2 that says, subject to the categorical exceptions and case-by-case waivers described in section 5. You go to section 5, there's no case-by-case waiver provision. It's not there. That's not what section 5 is about. So I have no idea. I would just presume that there's no waivers. I presume that the only exceptions are the ones I told you about. The religious exception's probably not real. The national interest exception's probably not real. There's a subset of employment-based categories, EB2 NIW, where the Department of Homeland Security has already said that their interest is in the national interest. And we are going to, in at least one lawsuit, seek to challenge the government denying, not adopting that finding. Because how is it that the Department of Homeland Security could say, you're in the national interest, and the Department of State could say, you're not in the national interest? I mean, that would not make sense. That would be arbitrary and capricious. So we've got a few things we're going to challenge in this travel ban with 1 to 3 lawsuits. Okay, we haven't narrowed it down yet, except we know what the first one's going to be. And I'm not going to tell you. Okay. What else do I need to tell you about this travel ban? Okay, a frequently asked question is, I'm in 221G processing for AP now, and I've been there waiting for 6 months or a year or whatever. What's going to happen to my case? Because right now it's refused under 221G. Well, I asked the government attorney that, and he responded, and I published it on a blog Monday. Here's what state told him. Visa applicants remain refused under Section 221G. Additional security screening remains ongoing until the visa applications are re-adjudicated. The department cannot determine whether exceptions to the provisions of the proclamation will be granted. So in other words, they're going to keep everybody in administrative processing, and they're going to continue with the national security vetting, whatever that might be. If you read my blog entry, you'll see my particular speculation about that. I'll share the link here in comments. Let me see here. So some of you are asking, should I end my mandamus lawsuit because it's going to speed up the answer? And I don't think so. I don't think that there's a reason to rush ending the mandamus lawsuit. A lot of people think that if somehow staying in 221G instead of going to 212F would give them an advantage. And I don't know that that's true. In fact, did I ever share I don't know if I ever shared the blog entry. I meant to share this. I wasn't looking at the screen when I was talking. Okay, to what I was just saying, for those people that are like, oh no, it would be awful if I went from 221G to 212F, I want you to consider the holding. Ask ChatGPT this, since everybody likes to talk to ChatGPT these days. Consider the holding of Amami versus Blinken from Judge Donato in 2024, where he gave specific relief for visa applicants that were refused under 212F only. Okay, he gave that relief for victims of the travel ban, Trump's travel ban during the first term. And that relief was both like priority appointments and waived fees. And that relief did not extend to people 221G who were stuck in 221G. It was only for people that were impacted by went to 212F. So not only you might not have the advantage, you might actually have a disadvantage in not getting the 212F. Pretty crazy. Okay. What else do I need to share? I'm going to go ahead and answer a couple questions here and then go to the next thing. Seb Sabidi says, hi, will there be any success in the potential new lawsuit which could cause additional exceptions being added? There's no scenario where a lawsuit would cause an exception to be added. I don't think so. No, I don't see that. I don't foresee that. Hopefully, one of our legal challenges will find part of the lawsuit, a part of the travel ban to be unlawful, but it's not going to add language inside the proclamation. Okay. I tell you what, I want to get out and protest today, and I'm not seeing that many questions. I want to talk about one more thing, and then I'm going to get out of here. So if you have your question, you better post it now. Visa Bulletin. There's actually some good news for some people, and what that good news is the June 2025 Visa Bulletin had F2A current priority date January 1st, 2022, where the July Chart A F2A Visa Bulletin has it at September 1st, 2022. That is a substantial jump. It's almost unprecedented in modern times, and it's good. It's good for a lot of spouse of green card holders. It's little comfort for the spouses of green card holders, also minor children, of these applicants impacted by the travel ban, but it's still good. It's better to not have this barrier and just have one barrier instead of having two barriers, right? So anyway, good to see progress with the Visa Bulletin in the F2A category. So not going to complain about that. We got a question here. POTUS said during campaign that he would help legal immigration. Well, POTUS lies, okay? Now with this new travel ban, he's turning his back on family preference categories for both American citizen and residents who have been waiting for years. Okay, this guy that you're like, oh, he said he would help legal immigration. He has repeatedly campaigned against what he called chain migration, where he's talking about families being able to bring the rest of their family over. That's family-based immigration. Now, granted, having been married to more than one immigrant in his life, he's also done this himself. His family's also, Melania's parents came through IR5 visas, I'm sure. But nevertheless, President Trump has never been pro-family immigration. I don't think that this is a surprise, but it is bad. And I see where you say we are families too, Secretary Rubio. Secretary Rubio, man, what an asshole. Can you imagine being like Cuba's in this travel ban? Like he was elected with the blood, sweat, and tears of Cuban Americans in Florida who supported him and thought, you're going to be our guy. And now he completely turns his back on his people. Just abhorrent. Shameful. So anyway, Tanya, thanks for the comment. Basically, my take is it's not a surprise that Trump is a jerk and that he did this. He kind of said he was going to do it. Okay, I'm going to wrap up. If you are emailing me, understand that I'm 12 to 14 hours behind. If you're leaving me a message on Telegram, I'm about 24 to 48 hours behind. If you're leaving me a message on WhatsApp, I'm like 4 days behind. That's just the way it is. So my clients, you need to be touching base with me in email because that's the quickest way to get a hold of me. Okay, everybody, have a good week. Take care of yourself. And also, I shouldn't go without saying this. Something's going on right now. It's chitter chatter on the Twitter that U.S. embassies are trying to get people that work at embassies out of the Middle East. Something to do with Iran. So I'm very worried about that. So stay safe out there. Take precautions that you can.